Whoa, excuse me. I am Alphinius Goo. Hello, my friends. You are in the Gooey Cube, and this is Gooey University. And this is a series on Badazz GMing. Is it not, Camera Mandy? Say hello.
Hello.
Yes, this is about knowing your game philosophy. This goes right along with knowing thyself, which was lesson 2. Knowing your game philosophy means what kind of game are you really going to run, and how are you going to run it? Yes, this is a very important aspect in how you are going to be an excellent game master. Yes, it is, trust me. And the first thing you must think about is, how open is your game going to be? What I mean by that is, how much latitude are you going to give to your players? Now let us understand that there is a broad spectrum of thought in terms of how great games are made. I personally think that all of them have good points. Let me explain that to you. On the far side of the spectrum over here, there is what they call railroady. This is where the game just goes in one direction the whole time, and players have little agency or latitude in terms of determining what they want to do or where they want to go. Yes, that is the far one over here. The far one over here is Sandboxy to the max boxy.
Hello.
That's where they do anything they want to all the time, no matter what's going on. It doesn't matter, you're just going to react to it, you're going to deal with it, whatever they do. Now, I'm going to tell you that in my opinion, all of these games can be fun. All on the whole spectrum. The crazy, wild, sandboxy, run-around games, or the more railroady, strict, they do what you want them to do kind of game. Yes, because I'm going to tell you, even though some people are down on railroadiness, let's just think about a certain wizard. Yes, who ended up having to be forced to go through a certain mine with a certain halfling, yes, and a certain ring. If they didn't get forced to do that, that tale would have pretty much gone to crap, yes? In a great tale, sometimes the characters are going to be forced to do things they don't want to do. That is okay. In fact, it is good, because if you let them run around everywhere, everything, all the time, sometimes it's hard to get your arms around a good, deep, and interesting plot. Here's what we do. We determine kind of where we want to live in that spectrum. And the reason why you must is because your players will react to it, and you must talk about it with them as well, because they need to understand what your game philosophy is, so they are not frustrated if you push them down a track. If they're expecting a crazy sandboxy game, and you give them a pretty railroady game without telling them first, it's going to be a problem. Okay, now, let's talk about some examples. Let's say your players are in a town, right? And you don't want to have to make up every damn building that's in that town, right? And what's there and populates it and all that stuff. So you pick out a few. But they go to a building that you did not expect. What do you do then? This is where improvisation comes into play, my friends. This is where you must be able to dance a little bit behind the screen, if you will. Yes! Or on the other hand, let's say you really want them to go to a certain building, and those little dirtbags are just not doing what you want them to do. Perhaps you have to give them a nudge. I have no problem with nudging. There are many ways to nudge. You could have them get beaten over the head and dragged to the building. You could have one of their friends get kidnapped and pulled to the building. You could have a bunch of giant rats herd them to the building. Well, they better be really big rats if your characters have any kind of level. But you know what I'm saying. There are many ways to nudge, and nudging is not bad either. All right? There is a third aspect, however, as well. This is how tight or how loose you're going to be sort of with the table itself. So let me give you an example of this. Many GMs, that people talk all they want at the table. They can speak back and forth, they can throw different things, they can make all kinds of noise and chatter, and nobody cares. At my game table, however, what you say is what you said. Does that make sense? Yes, because when you're at the table, you are not Camera Mandy. You are Mandarella the Barbarian. Ha! That is who you are. And if you say, hey, I think I'm gonna beat the snot out of that freaking guard man over there, guess what, Camera Mandy? That guardsman might have heard that, yes? And he might come over and just take you up on your little offer. So this is what you think about in terms of your philosophy. This is how you build the foundation of your game, because that is what will make it special or not special for your players, depending on their bent. This is why you must know your players. You must know yourself, and then you must understand and bring your philosophy to the table. In summary, my friends, number 1, There are a multitude of different ways that you can run your game. It could be very down the track, sort of railroady, push it in one direction, or it could be very wide open, crazy, do anything you want to, or somewhere more in the middle. So you have to decide, number 2, as to where your game is going to fall on that scale. Yes. And 3, make sure you talk to your players about this so that they can enjoy the game that you've created rather than being frustrated by it. I am Alphinius Goo. You are in the Gooey Cube with Camera Mandy and me at Gooey University. May all your adventures be sticky.